Hello and welcome to our Hangout on Air. You're at the Law of Attraction Club on the web at the loaclub.com. On these Hangouts, we collaborate with our friend Dra. This Hangout is the summary of our theme for the week and continues on our member conference line. Today's topic is, do you want to create a miracle? Use the bucket process. You can get invites to our open calls, which we offer periodically, and our powerful free letting go process by going to the loaclub.com. So today, Robin will be bringing through Tara for us, and so we welcome Tara and Robin, and over to you.
Welcome back to our discussions. This week our subject is your role as a miracle worker. Of course, we pick these different subjects from week to week as a way of approaching the one big subject. And so, as always, we'll be starting with some of our usual words about who you are and why you're here, and then moving to how you can use that knowledge in a really practical sense to bring more joy into your lives. And isn't that why you're really here? We would have you understand there's a method to our madness, because both of those things, the truth and the practical steps, are important components in your journey towards happiness. Could we not just skip to the practical stuff? Yes, we could. We see some of you simply seeking occasional inspiration to higher thoughts, and all of that is wonderful, of course. And what we also see is a deeper desire within you to move your game to a higher level, to an ongoing and ever-present awareness of your power, to getting back to a remembrance of your infinite and timeless roots. It is the particular mission of this community to respond to that deeper level of desire. And so we are always going to be on about grounding you in truth, because once you have that awareness, you are ready to play the game as you intended to play it. So let's begin with our subject of the week. What do you think of when you hear that word miracle? For many of you, it means something you couldn't expect to happen under normal circumstances, or something not possible without the intervention of some powerful entity. And then along we come telling you that you create everything. So perhaps we need to rethink this idea of miracles, and in the process we will speak the truth of who you are, what you're doing here, and how the law of attraction works. Here's some words from our friends about this. From Abraham. Miracles are just the logical response of law of attraction to your logical, defined, deliberate intention. Expectation is the most powerful word, because expectation includes what you want and your belief about it. When you're desirous of something and expecting it and believing it, now your expectation is in a place where you're in there where the movement is, and you're in on the creation. From Bashar. Miracles are not the exception to the rule. They are the natural, true order of things. From Bentigno. All things that show up in your life are derived from your state of being. Choosing joy, connection, bliss, freedom, trust is an act that contains all solutions to all possible situations. You become a living, breathing, walking, flying miracle, inseparable from the delicious miracle that is all that exists. and from the universe, Mike Dooley. Listen to this sequence of words and thoughts, because he has it exactly right. In spite of the euphoria you feel upon entering paradise, cloaked in miracles, surrounded by angels, love, and unimaginable beauty, it gradually becomes all you know, commonplace, ordinary, and then, shockingly, invisible. We're talking about life on Earth. Are you getting a sense of the way in which this miraculous game you've created has become commonplace and ordinary? Do you understand what Mike is saying when he describes your world as invisible? He's saying you see it, but you don't see it. He's describing very eloquently the way in which you have settled into accepting the world as something external to you. He's saying you see this fantastic space-time virtual reality you've created as something less than a miracle. Look around you right now. Can you reimagine what it's like to move from a realm of no space and no time and no shapes and no colors to this magnificent game with its shapes and things and beginnings and ends and chocolate chip ice cream and adventures that ebb and flow? Can you see the miraculous beauty of it around you right now? Be aware. Be aware that by law of attraction, wanted or unwanted, moment by moment, you are uniquely creating around you a world that is the sum of your chosen beliefs and expectations. If there are certainties in your expectation tapestry, they will certainly be in your version of the world. If there are probabilities, they will be there most of the time. If there are possibilities, they will appear some of the time. If there are improbabilities, they will appear occasionally. If you know that some things are impossible, they will never exist for you. What you have decided about each and everything has set the boundaries within which your experience plays out. You all have what we call thought buckets, in which you hold every single thing. The impossible bucket, the improbable bucket, the possible bucket, the probable bucket, and the certain bucket. And we have a bucket process, which is a manifestation process in which you move some particular desired outcome up the probability scale. First, you decide what it is you want to be, do, or have. Then you go quiet in your mind and get a deep sense of which bucket it's in. Not where you'd like it to be or where it should be, but what's the feel of it deep down in that expectation tapestry of yours? Then you start moving it up a bucket or two. Hold that thought for now, and we'll go through this process in detail with you shortly. So where in all that tapestry of yours do miracles fit? Well, it cannot be the impossible bucket, because you've declared to the universe that this particular circumstance can never occur, and your word is law. Therefore, these miracles of yours must be in the improbable bucket, or you might even say the highly improbable bucket. So if you're looking to create a miracle, and why not, now the question becomes, how do you create things that are highly improbable? Let's look first at what you're creating already and how you're creating it, and see if we can uncover for you a clear path to creating anything you want, miracle or otherwise. Notice that in that law of attraction definition were the words moment by moment. Now look around you. Listen around you. Feel around you. This is the moment by moment world you are creating. How much focus, energy, or attention are you putting into maintaining this illusion of yours? None. When you woke up this morning, there it was, instantly. It was there because you had no doubts. You knew that the world you went to sleep in was the one you would wake up in. This was one of your certainties. So now the interesting question is, when and how and why did you decide to believe that this was a certainty? If you see the world as something external to you, as something that is independent of your choices, then your answer will be along the lines of, as you grew up, you experienced what is. You learned about it, you came to understand the way it works, and that's why you believe as you do. You might be thinking to yourself, this is not rocket science. Every rational and reasonable person knows this. It's self-evident. Well, we agree that it's easy to drop into this way of seeing things, but from a broader perspective, it's not at all rational. If you know you're living in one shared world, then you cannot fully know who you are, and you will never fully understand the law of attraction. So if the interesting question is, when and how and why did you decide to believe that any particular thing was a certainty, our answer would be, in one version of events, the one you think of as your past, because of choices you made, you were born, and you began to experience a version of space-time virtual reality. You had experiences, you made more belief choices, and so the cycle continued. With each new choice, you step into a new version of you, and a matching context, world, wraps itself around you. In other words, your what is was created by those choices of yours. And of course, it always matches those choices. And so it supports the belief that those were right choices. In other versions of you, you made different choices, and they likewise were right choices. Flat Earth or round Earth, it's always your Earth. And on each version of it, the rational majority will always believe as you do. Your what is reinforces your choices. And so it's easy to slip into the idea that it's not really a choice at all, that it's just what is. And you have to deal with it as it is. But it isn't, and you don't. You're creating it all. Here's an exercise you can do. Put something in place you will notice when you wake up tomorrow morning. A piece of paper on the floor, or a string around your finger, whatever works for you. Then at that moment, just observe the world around you. That version of your virtual reality that you're creating on the fly. Is that a miracle or is that a miracle? Just recognize that you truly are, you already are, a miracle worker. As our friends expressed in those quotes we used earlier, everything's a miracle when you know the truth about who you are and how you're creating it. So now back to the question of creating the highly improbable. What makes it improbable? You decided it was. And as surely as you decided it was, you can undecide that it is. Now, we know that when you've long been practicing one world thinking, it takes a particular focus to step away from those deep-seated habits of thought. But here's the good news. You form those habits by making the same choice over and over. And you can form new habits by making new and different choices over and over. You can have the lie you want, or you can have the life you want. You can't have both. You can stick with the lie that there's a world out there that you have to deal with. And you can hope for luck or miracles, or that somebody or something out there is looking out for you. Or you can truly know you're the miracle worker, as Mike Dooley's universe described it yesterday. When the external begins to define the internal, instead of the internal defining the external, one begins living as a mortal rather than as a god. Trust me, as a god is better. Play your supernatural card a lot more often. So we say, be a god, or rather, allow yourself to step into an ongoing and ever-present awareness that you are and you always were, and timelessly you always will be, a god. Gods can change their mind at any time. And so you can make new choices and new choices about anything and everything. With each new choice, you inhabit that new version of you and your world. You and your world are an inseparable unity. It's your personal, moment-by-moment virtual reality. There is truly, truly nothing you cannot be, do, or have. So let's together, right here and now, begin the creation of a minor or major miracle or two in your lives. Firstly, get quiet here. Think about your desired outcomes. Pick one. And let's move it along a bit here. Go within. Get a feel for which bucket your subconscious has placed it in. Remember, the two bookends are impossible and certain. And in between are improbable, possible, and probable. Your desired outcome can't be the certainty bucket, or it'd be here already. So which one is it in? Let yourself really get the feeling of the probability of it. Now try moving it up one bucket, from impossible to improbable, or improbable to possible, or possible to probable, or probable to certain. How does it feel in that new bucket? How does that new expectation level sit with you? Practice the feel of it. If it helps, mix it up with a little bit of our would be, will be, is process as you think about that desired outcome. Then see which bucket you have it in. Good. Can you see that your bucket positions determine everything? They set the boundaries within which everything appears in your world. What goes on internally within your mind defines everything in the matching context that wraps itself around you. It shows up as the illusion of an external world you seem to live in. So be a god, because that's exactly what you are and why you're here. That's why we're all here, to play God. And now let's do a little dancing and playing God together, and maybe also a little bucket sorting.
This hangout was the summary of our theme for the week. We do 3 live calls a week with Q&A for our members on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can become a member by going to the loaclub.com/join. Our longer discussion continues now with Q&A on our member conference line. So back